Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Literary Lutheran Reads the Book of Concord. Today is Tuesday, and today we start the Sixth Commandment. For those of you playing the home game, we will be reading section 199 to 216. Here we go. The Sixth Commandment. Luther had been married for almost 4 years when he wrote the large Catechism. His former life as a monk makes his comments on the Sixth Commandment all the more interesting and powerful. Luther keenly discerns that chastity is not a matter of vowing to live a celibate life, but honoring God and one's spouse with one's whole being, thoughts, words, and actions. Marriage should be cherished and honored as a divine estate. God created this institution before all others and blessed it above all the rest. And since he brings children into the world through it, he provides all other estates for its support and benefit. Luther condemns forced celibacy within the Roman Church, but recognizes that God does not exempt some from married life, either because they are unsuited to it or because they possess the supernatural gift of chastity. The Sixth Commandment releases those who have taken a vow of chastity, but who have not been given this supernatural gift. For Luther, God intended marriage not only to prevent sin, but also as a means by which husbands and wives love and cherish each other. Marriage is a precious good work far superior to the contrived spiritual estates of monks and nuns. You shall not commit adultery. The following commandments are easily understood from the explanation of the preceding commandments, for they are all to show that we must avoid doing any kind of harm to our neighbor. They are arranged in fine order. In the first place, they talk about our neighbor personally. Then they proceed to talk about the person nearest him, or the closest possession next after his body, namely his wife. She is one flesh and blood with him, Genesis chapter 2, 23 to 24, so that we cannot inflict a higher injury upon him in any good that is his. Therefore, it is clearly forbidden here to bring any disgrace upon our neighbor regarding his wife. The commandment really takes aim at adultery, because among the Jewish people it was ordained and commanded that everyone must be married. The young were engaged to be married early, and the virgin state was held in small esteem. Yet neither were public prostitution and lewdness tolerated, as now. Therefore, adultery was the most common form of unchastity among them. But among us there is such a shameful mess and the very dregs of all vice and lewdness. Therefore, this commandment is directed against all kinds of unchastity, whatever it may be called. Not only is the outward act of adultery forbidden, but also every kind of cause, motive, and means of adultery. Then the heart, the lips, and the whole body may be chaste and offer no opportunity, help, or persuasion toward unchastity. Not only this, but we must also resist temptation, offer protection, and rescue honor wherever there is danger and need. We must give help and counsel so as to maintain our neighbor's honor. For whenever you abandon this effort when you could resist unchastity, or whenever you overlook it as if it did not concern you, you are as truly guilty of adultery as the one doing the deed. To speak in the briefest way, this much is required of you. Everyone must live chastely himself and help his neighbor do the same. So by this commandment God wishes to build a hedge round about, Job chapter 1 verse 10, and protect every spouse so that no one trespasses against him or her. But this commandment is aimed directly at the state of marriage and gives us an opportunity to speak about it. First, understand and mark well how gloriously God honors and praises this estate. For by his commandment he both approves and guards it. He has approved it above in the fourth commandment, honor your father and your mother, but here he has, as we said, hedged it about and protected it. Therefore he also wishes us to honor it, Hebrews chapter 13 verse 4, and to maintain and govern it as a divine and blessed estate because, in the first place, he has instituted it before all others. He created man and woman separately, as is clear in Genesis chapter 1 verse 27. This was not for lewdness, but so that they might live together in marriage, be fruitful, bear children, and nourish and train them to honor God. Genesis chapter 1, verse 28, Psalm 128, Proverbs chapter 2, verse 6, and Ephesians chapter 6, verse 4. Therefore God has also most richly blessed this estate above all others. In addition, he has bestowed on it and wrapped up in it everything in the world, so that this estate might be well and richly provided for. Married life is therefore no joke or presumption. It is an excellent thing and a matter of divine seriousness. For marriage has the highest importance to God, so that people are raised up who may serve the world and promote the knowledge of God, godly living and all virtues, to fight against wickedness and the devil. I have always taught that this estate should not be despised nor held in disrepute, as is done by the blind world and our false church leaders. Marriage should be regarded as it is in God's word, where it is adorned and sanctified. It is not only placed on an equality with other estates, but it comes first and surpasses them all, emperor, princes, bishops, or whoever they please. For both church and civil estates must humble themselves and all be found in this estate, as we shall hear. Therefore it is not a peculiar estate, but the most common and noblest estate that runs through all Christendom. Yes, it extends through all the world. In the second place, you must also know that marriage is not only an honorable, but also a necessary state. In general and in all conditions, it is solemnly commanded by God that men and women who are created for marriage shall be found in this estate. Yet there are some exceptions, although few, whom God has especially set apart. They are not fit for the married estate, or there are individuals whom he has released by a high supernatural gift so that they can maintain chastity without this estate. Matthew chapter 19, verses 11 and 12. For where nature has its course, since it is given by God, it is not possible to remain chaste without marriage. 1 Corinthians 7. For flesh and blood remain flesh and blood. The natural desire and excitement have their course without delay or hindrance, as everybody sees and feels. In order, therefore, that it may be easier in some degree to avoid inchastity, God has commanded the estate of marriage. In this way, everyone may have his proper portion and be satisfied with it. Yet God's grace is also required in order that the heart may be pure. From this you see how this popish rabble, priests, monks, and nuns, resist God's order and commandment, for they despise and forbid matrimony, and they dare and vow to maintain perpetual chastity. Besides this, they deceive the simple-minded with lying words and appearances. For no one has so little love and desire for chastity as these very people. Because of great sanctity, they avoid marriage and either indulge in open and shameless prostitution or secretly do even worse, so that one dare not speak of it. Unfortunately, this has been learned too fully. In short, even though they abstain from the act, their hearts are so full of unchaste thoughts and evil lusts that there is a continual burning and secret suffering which can be avoided in the married life. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 9. Therefore, all vows of chastity outside of the married state are condemned by this commandment. Free permission to marry is granted. Indeed, even the command is given to all poor and snared consciences that have been deceived by their monastic vows. Abandon the unchaste state and enter the married life. They must consider that even if the monastic life were godly, it would still not be in their power to maintain chastity. And if they remain in their monastic vows, they must only sin more and more against this commandment. This has been the Literary Lutheran Reads the Book of Concord. Have a blessed day.